Hi, this is Dwyer from Gamblers Advisory. Our earlier video on the David Haye versus Wladimir Klitschko fight got cut off unexpectedly at the 3-minute mark. We just wanted to post part two of the video. The first video, of course, as viewers know, predicted that Wladimir Klitschko would win the fight. We believe he'll do so by knockout. This fight is a mismatch. Let me point out that David Haye, as we stated earlier, in addition to never fighting at more than 217 pounds, has actually only fought a grand total in his career of 6 rounds in the heavyweight division. That pales in comparison to Wladimir Klitschko's vast experience. Let's also point out that Wladimir Klitschko has fought guys who hit at least as hard as David Haye. I would say that Sam Peter hits at least as hard as David Haye. Wladimir Klitschko did get knocked down in that fight, but was able to get off the canvas and complete the fight. The Corey Sanders fight that Klitschko critics like to point to is a completely different animal because, of course, Corey Sanders is a southpaw. David Haye is an orthodox fighter and does not pose that kind of threat. Let me also point out, too, that if you go back and if you look at the Wladimir Klitschko fight against Layman Brewster, the first fight, you'll see that Klitschko was actually dominating that fight when he ran out of gas. Now, since Klitschko has been with Emmanuel Stewart, he has made remarkable improvement in terms of pacing himself. Just contrast the first Layman Brewster fight, which Klitschko lost, to the second Layman Brewster fight, which Klitschko used an excellent jab, stayed outside of Layman Brewster, and then was able to convincingly win that fight, caused Layman Brewster to quit on his stool. I do not believe that David Haye is qualitatively better than Layman Brewster, nor do I believe that Wladimir Klitschko is the same fighter who had problems pacing himself early in his career. Let me also point out, too, that from distance, Wladimir Klitschko is vastly the better fighter because Wladimir Klitschko has an excellent jab, which he used in his fight against Sultan Ibragimov to keep Ibragimov at bay. If you see that fight is really a jabbing exercise. And Wladimir Klitschko, who has one of the better jabs in the heavyweight division, in addition to having one of the hardest punches in the heavyweight division, put on a jabbing clinic that entire fight. Now, since Wladimir Klitschko is taller than David Haye and fights better from distance, David Haye is going to have to do something dramatic to get inside. And the problem is when he gets inside, he's going to find out that he's outweighed by probably around 30 pounds. Not only that, he's going to find out that he's not fighting a cruiserweight. He's actually fighting a heavyweight, and that he himself has very limited experience at the heavyweight division. In fact, his biggest win to date in heavyweight division was over journeyman Monty Barrett. Don't be fooled. Monty Barrett is a journeyman. Compare and contrast Evander Holyfield's performance against Nikolai Valuev with Monty Barrett's performance against Nikolai Valuev. Barrett walked into every big Valuev punch in that fight, hit the canvas several times in that fight. I'm sure that's why David Haye's people chose Monty Barrett as an opponent. Monty Barrett isn't as good, in my opinion, as several of the opponents that Wladimir Klitschko has fought, including recent opponents like Tony Thompson. So our pick here is not just Wladimir Klitschko. Our pick here is Wladimir Klitschko by knockout. I'm still not convinced that David Haye wasn't hurt in that Monty Barrett fight. David Haye's people keep posting comments here and sending me private emails through YouTube claiming that David Haye slipped in his fight against Monty Barrett. My point to you is, when has a very skilled heavyweight, like let's say a Lennox Lewis or a Wladimir Klitschko, looked as awkward in slipping against a journeyman fighter like Monty Barrett? Quite frankly, if you look carefully at that film, you're going to see one of two things. Either David Haye has some of the worst footwork in the heavyweight division, or David Haye's defense is so bad that he got hit by an average heavyweight in Monty Barrett and he went down. Let me also point out, too, to those who feel that I'm a hater on David Haye, I actually did take David Haye in that fight against Monty Barrett. I cannot take him here because he's in against a better fighter. We like Wladimir Klitschko. I like Wladimir Klitschko by knockout in this one. I do not feel that these fighters are close. Finally, let me point out that some caution should be considered in making this bet because, according to internet chatter, the fight will be taking place in London, where David Haye is very popular. It'll be a hometown match for David Haye. David Haye fed off the crowd in beating Enzo Macchiarelli in a fight in London recently. And, you should understand that Wladimir Klitschko is going into the home area of one of England's best fighters. So certainly the crowd will be cheering every time a David Haye punch comes within 2 inches of Wladimir Klitschko. I'm suspecting there won't be a lot of cheers when Wladimir Klitschko cleans his clock. This is Dwyer from Gamblers Advisory. Let us know your comments, positive or negative. And as I always say, if we're wrong, punish us in the ratings here on YouTube. But if we're right, give us 5 stars. And remember, when you bet, always use your heads. Good luck.